We have no mercy for those that come to disrupt the restoration of this struggle. We don't negotiate with anyone. We will never do that. Because when you do things like that, you encourage the same thing to be inside the government, and they will continue to do what they are doing. There's an added access.
Welcome, fellow Biafrans, lovers of freedom across the world. I welcome you once again to this amazing platform where we bring you information that has to do with the United States of Biafra. Information coming from the right source. In this platform, we promote and support the restoration fully and recognition of the United States of Biafra under our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, and of the Supreme Commander of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Today, under the leadership of Dr. Ngozi Orabweze, the Deputy Prime Minister. Wherever you are and you're watching this program, I welcome you. Please like and share to all platforms. In this program, we will be continue to show you information that are coming from all angles, more especially things that has to do with the Biafran territory, regardless where it is, whether in the east, in the west, in the north, in the south. We bring it before you so that you can digest it and have a rethink and know where you stand. The only thing that can guarantee our freedom in that contraption called Nigeria is Biafra. It is either Biafra or nothing. And wherever you are, continue to support the United States of Biafra. That is the only way to go. That is the only way you can have good economy and have security. Regardless what you see today, do not get distracted. Do not get bemoved. Continue to stand your ground, to demand for self-determination because it is your right. Do not allow anyone to take away the right to self-determination, the right to self-defense, and the right to life from you. Kindly watch this video for more wisdom. Let's watch.
Colonel Olawumi came into the public space and he told us, he said there are persons in government who are the financiers, godfathers of everything that we are saying. That there is no distinction, that we can call them Boko Haram, militants, bandits. That is one and the same. One and the same. Remember that Obadiah had told all of us earlier on that a serving governor in northern Nigeria is or was the commandant of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Now, Commodore Olawumi came out in 2022 and he said very clearly to all of our hearing in a TV station, in alarm, hoping to rise us up so that we understand the urgency of our situation. That was what brought him out. The same thing that brought out an Obadiah Mailafia that made him speak. This was the same thing that brought out Olawumi. Olawumi is sounding alarm. He's sitting in a TV studio telling you how his own life had been destroyed by his service to our country, how he lost his family in the belief in a federal Nigeria. He defined himself clearly. He explained the challenges to us clearly. That man was screaming in the marketplace because we have blocked our ears. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was saying pretty much the same thing. The only difference is we did not like his voice. We did not like his tone. I didn't like his tone, and I certainly do not approve of his method. But what lies, as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told now? What did he say, or as he said, that Nigeria is not proven on a daily basis? Commodore Olawumi told us that government is shielding people. He told us about the over 400 borrowed the change over 400 borrowed a change, identified as financing terror. Not one, not a single one has been taken before a court. But a young boy, Quadri, was railroaded into prison. What can be more criminal than that? You know something else that Commodore Olaomi told us? He was unapologetic in telling us that these are the works of Fulani jihadists. And oh, yeah, I know that some of you might want to argue that, but I'll remind you that in the course of the last week, a certain evil man identified as Garuba Abdullahi Muhammad presumed to speak on behalf of the Fulanis, claiming responsibility for what is taking place in the plateau and labeling it a communal clash. People are carrying armor-piercing, high-caliber war guns, and they are fighting a communal war, a communal clash that has taken you to begin to depopulate land and resettle and rename them, and it's still a communal clash. You're looking for the accomplices to genocide. Garba Abdullahi Muhammad should be one of the first, but then he will be in good company, wouldn't he? Did Bayo Ononuga not issue a statement where he characterized this genocide as a communal clash? Is it other farmer clash? How? Brazen genocide that is happening in plain sight. Olawumi told us that the people doing this are in government. They have been in government for a while. It didn't start with Bulaba. It didn't start with Buhari. They've always been part and parcel of government, but never tolerated and allowed to act with this level of impunity. There was some pretense at restraint. There were pretenses at restraint. There were attempts to use the law like El Rufai used it in Ladoga. But this, where people are driven off their land and the land is resettled by Fulanis who are not even indigenous to the land, and the government is sitting by and the government is talking about communal clashes. When does it become collusion? At what point can we call it collusion? Exactly when is it okay to admit to the fact that these are no longer isolated accidents? When are we going to agree that this is a well-coordinated operation in which a whole lot of people are complicit? Wasn't it in this same country that Buhari's man was telling us that they should give up their land for peace? There was something instructive in the Olawumi interview, which a lot of you also haven't seen, but you've seen clips. You are too lazy to read. You can't be too lazy to watch. I implore you, go and find my Lafia's videos. Listen to Olawumi's interview on channels. All these are readily available on YouTube. These men risked their lives to tell you the truth. I'm risking my life to draw your attention to the truth that they have told you. Why can't you just do something? Go, educate yourselves, become aware of these facts, because when they are done in the Middle Belt, on the Plateau, when they are done, they're coming towards the sea. They have to dip the Quran in the waters, whatever the heck that means. Dubai, that was busy prosecuting financiers of terror in Nigeria, is a Muslim country. They are prosecuting terrorists, and you, a supposed secular country, is mollycodding terrorists. You just released 390 terrorists that you are claiming that you have rehabilitated, and we are still asking who the accomplices to genocide are. You don't know T.Y. Danjuma. Let me tell you who he is. T.Y. Danjuma was one of the spearhead of the second coup, the one that killed Ironsi, the one that killed Fajri, and the one that began the pogrom in the north. Today, the same T.Y. Danjuma who rose to become the chief of army staff, who was the minister of defense under Obasanjo when Obasanjo came in 1999. One of the wealthiest Nigerians. No surprise, he was one of the owners of Nigeria. He was on national TV, equally speaking, stridently. He said they collude. He said you should harm yourselves, that you cannot depend on the Nigerian army to protect you. He spoke extensively to the need for individuals to hold on to their right to self-defense. Beautiful words. But let me remind you, the first thing the Nigerian state usually does that will precede most of this genocide, and you have Melafia's word if you go and listen to him, and we have multiple accounts. The Nigerian army or police will declare a curfew. And once the curfew is declared, they will come onto the communities and disarm the communities, remove even bows and arrows, according to Melafi, render these people incapable of defending themselves. They're left with nothing. And then these Fulani terrorists would come bearing automatic weapons, high-caliber automatic weapons, against people who have nothing with which to defend themselves. Slaughter children in their beds. I've seen pictures coming out of Irigwe, coming out of Bokos. Slashing them in their bed, killing human beings without compassion. And when they attempt, if they have illicit arms to defend themselves, the police and army will come back, and those who were merely defending themselves become the suspects that the army and police will be parading as the culprits. I'm sure there are exceptions, but this is the generation. And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, then you don't know anything about Jackson. A farmer, he was attacked on his farm, right there on his farm, by Fulani terrorists. Because who else will go onto a man's land and attack him on his own farm? Stabbed him multiple times. And he managed to take the knife from his attacker. And he stabbed his attacker and killed the attacker. I left law school almost 3 decades ago. and I left law practice almost 7 years ago. But I remain a lawyer because of my education. If ever there was a classic case of self-defense, that was one. But what did the Supreme Court do? Was convicted for murder, sentenced to die for defending himself on his own farm against a person who had caused him multiple injuries. No level of defense counsel's incompetence can explain the criminality of the system that will pronounce such a man guilty of murder. But that was what Nigeria did. So if you've taken away a man's guns, his bow and arrow, but he can't even defend himself with the weapon that he had wrested from the hand of the man who set upon him on his own land. How is this? You've criminalized the right to self-defense. The Nigerian church, we're talking about accomplices. Accomplices. The first of the accomplices that must be added here is the Nigerian church. Religion in northern Nigeria is not just religion, it's about ethnic identity in most cases. Those of you who have been fortunate to come across Professor Turaki's books, you would understand the background to religion and ethnic identity in northern Nigeria. For the northern Christian, there is a question of ethnic identity tied into his religious identity. And the first line of defense for him is almost always his religious collective. What has the Nigerian church done since this genocide began? You've fasted, you've prayed, and then what? And then what? What has the church done? How many times and how many pastors, bishops have opened their mouths to speak the truth of what is happening? How many? I know people like Bishop Buba, Elion Buba in Jos have spoken. I know a few, someone like Uka would speak, but then who else? And those are persons based in the north. Sorry, what has the man drinking tea with God had to say about this? What have they said? I was reading of one talking about praying. One Catholic bishop or something in Benue. Are they okay at all? Do they even understand that this has rendered them as accomplices in this evil? What has happened to their voices? Why have they made it sin? And why have they turned it into a situation where those who are speaking to what is happening are being made to look like the lunatic fringe? Why are they normalizing evil by their silences? Do they realize that this makes them as guilty as the person's votes? Do they? The loud silence of the pentarascals who are busy endorsing the evil of Muslim ticket. Where are you all now? Where are you all? That will be solved before David or nonsense. Where are you all? Why has all of a sudden nothing to say again? This evil is happening and you cannot be heard because you are all compromised. You are accomplices. You are accomplices, all of you. You are accomplices in this genocide that is taking place in our country. You are accomplices. You have to be taught. The Islamic clerics, those of you who have all this umbrage, you had all this umbrage because 16 persons, and that is not a diminution from the life or humanity of anyone. I condemn without reservation the murder of even one man. But what has happened to all of you since this has been happening? You normalize it. And is it Annie or whatever it is you call people you believe should be Muslims that are not Muslims? Are free. So it's okay to kill them. You want to Islamize Nigeria. I wish you would, the way Dubai is Islamized. Islamize Nigeria the way Saudi Arabia is Islamized, not this race to Kabul. And you are all keeping quiet. How are you different from the Munafiq? You are accomplices to evil, all of you, because this is genocide. Did Allah tell you? Did Allah tell you that it is His desire that you turn our land into one soaked with blood in His name? Did He? Commodore Olawumi said something instructive that I think we should revisit. He said he expected a turnaround in 2023. He was calculating that the APC would lose power because it was obvious they were not going to win in a free and fair election. He said he expected that we would soon be hearing a lot of revelations. Olawumi was very clear in saying this. But of course, the man who promised to continue the policies of Buhari was foisted on all of us. The jihad Biafra had told us to expect in 2022 was not necessary because Bulaba would continue the policies, and he has. The same impunity with which killings had been going on in Nigeria with the full protection of the Nigerian state is exactly what is still happening today. He has indeed continued Buhari's policies, just as he promised. The policy of state complicity in genocide has been continued. But there are enough blames to go around, and there are enough accomplices to this evil. What about the political class? The governor of Plateau State wants to probe the killings of cows. He is hurriedly sanctioning the burial of persons in mass graves without proper identification to understand clearly that what is going on in the Plateau is a genocide where people are being removed from their land and their land are being resettled. This man knows, but is coming out to talk about probing the death of cows. Has he probed the death of human beings? Of the children whose throat was slit in their bed? Innocent blood being shed in the land? Has he probed the failure of governance that has meant that he merely wails impotently and has done nothing to protect the lives of those he swore to protect? But he wants to probe the murder of cows. Rather like that one in Benin and Edo that went all the way to Kano to go and be prostrating, but has not been heard saying a word about those who have been murdered in Benue, in Enugu, in his own land, in the Plateau. The political class is complicit. We already heard it from Olawumi, we heard it from Mailafia, we heard it from T.Y. Danjuma. All I'm doing is I'm echoing what you have been told by persons you may deem more sensible and less insane. They said it in public. Even the grand doyen of them all has said it repeatedly. Obasanjo has said it repeatedly. You can't trust the state to protect you again. The state is complicit. In the midst of all of this, the governor of Benue, a reverend father, somebody who you would imagine should be heaven focused, is busy banning somebody from visiting IDP camps. They are complicit. How is Peter Obi's visit to IDP camp something that requires the visa from a state? How does that make sense in a situation? The Amotekun sector commander in Oyo State, who walked away, Brigadier General Togo, spoke to multiple frustrations he had to deal with as sector commander. It was these frustrations that led him to resign his commission. And we're still talking about the persons who are complicit or who are accomplices. The government is complicit. The government of Nigeria, both at state and the federal level, are accomplices to genocide. And then, whilst all this was going on, the Sultan of Sokoto came out and said, social media is terrorist. He had no word to say in condemnation of the genocide being perpetrated across the length and breadth of Nigeria by persons who are clearly Fulanis, of whom he is the traditional head in Nigeria, an influential voice who can bring peace. Indeed, we need a member of the peace committee headed by General Abdusalam, and all he had to say is that social media is a terrorist. We see Fulani terrorists displaying how much they've taken, confessing to their crimes on the same social media. Has he ever asked the government, real murders? Has he spoken against the fact that even fellow Nigerians, indigenous Fulanis, who have been here for generations, are also victims of these foreign ones that have been imported according to Baraje in 2014? What did he have to say to that? Nothing. But social media is a terrorist. The government is telling you that it's headed as clash. Is communal clash. Do communal clashing lead to resettlement of people's indigenous land? And the government is looking away as Aboriginal rights are abrogated with violence and their land resettled by foreigners. But of course, you had one telling us that any Fulani from anywhere is a citizen of Nigeria and is welcome in Nigeria. We heard that loud and clear. I believe it was the governor of Bauchi who was saying that on national TV. So why would they come to Nigeria believing that they can indeed settle anywhere, act with impunity, kill anybody, if those who should be calling them to order, the Gumis of this world, the Sultan of Sokoto, will come out and say that social media is a terrorist, when the terrorist is known and clear for all to see? Nigeria is unraveling, and it is unraveling largely because of the complicity, the hypocrisy, rank hypocrisy of the monafics who have claimed that they are Muslims and are doing all this evil in the name of God. This is not in the name of God. The international community, they are complicit, and they are accomplices in this evil because they know what is going on and they are pretending not to see. They have calculated that the unraveling of Nigeria is descent into some level of violence advances their own interest in Nigeria. The everyday Nigerian who has refused to get involved, believing that the solution will come when the El Dorado of a split might have happened. Let me remind you, even if Nigeria will split, it wouldn't split peacefully, given its current realities. It is achievable in peace if we ever find the grace to act together in concert, understanding very clearly that what we are faced with is not just state failure. We're not only dealing with state failure, we are dealing with the complicity of the state in the extermination of its own people. The cold calculation I have heard, I was speaking with a member of the Fulani aristocracy. This must have been around 2019, 2020, just before COVID. And as we were talking, I spoke to how she asked me, what do I think would happen with Nigeria going forward? And I said to her at the time that the way the country is going, with the constant state-sponsored or state-enabled wars going on in many parts of its territory, that I was worried about the long-term viability of Nigeria. And she said to me, she said, you are too much of an alarmist and you look at things too myopically. I was like, really? She said, yes. That, don't I realize that worst case scenario, how many Nigerians do you think we are? I said there should be about, they say we are like 200 million. She said, right there. Now, let's say 10% dies, another 10% goes off into exile, then things will settle. I felt a cold chill run down my spine because she came across cold-blooded, and she just discounted, to my hearing, 20 million lives that she's willing to accept as collateral damage in pursuit of a goal. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but it stuck in my head, and I maintained the distance from this person since that time. I started withdrawing because I just couldn't wrap my brains around what she just said to me, that she was willing to accept that much casualty in order to impose a worldview that I know as a fact cannot be sustained because it's founded on a lie. If Afghanistan was so attractive, Saudi Arabia would not be traveling in its current direction. Dubai would not have progressed the way and manner it has. All the Gulf Arab states would not be running towards in the Dubai direction. But here I am in Nigeria, and some people believe that it is acceptable to wipe out significant portion of our population in pursuit of a strategic objective, which had been clearly stated and sometimes reduced to a cliche: dip the Quran in the sea. This was in my head, and then Commodore Lawumi said pretty much the same things in explaining how he believes that the Fulani Islamist things. He said, as far as they're concerned, certain level of casualties are acceptable. That the way they are thinking is that some people will die, this one will die, and then there will be equilibrium and they will proceed. These are frightening realities. I cannot wish them away. I have offered you nothing that is not already in the public space. There is nothing, absolutely nothing that I have said today that is not already in the public space. I've invented nothing. What I have done is to draw your attention to the truths that are always and have always been available to you. I spent a whole lot of time telling you about how you should get involved in this electoral reform. The last week has left my heart quite heavy and it's made me quite pessimistic about the long-term future of Nigeria. And I've been left a little more hopeless, if I may say, about our circumstances. But it is critical that I also help you to understand something. Those who would prefer that the status quo remain would also prefer that we despair. Because those who despair do not strive, they accept their sickening reality. We mustn't. I need you all to please take the time, offer your comments, offer your recommendations on the Electoral Act Reform Bill. There is no way that you can fight a system as decadent as ours if you do not find a way, one, explain to the people what the future looks like so that they have something to hope for.
Thank you so much for watching the program. I appreciate you for your patience to watch from beginning to end. I hope you have learned a lot from this very program that I just played, this video. Please like and share the video. Share to all platforms. After sharing the video, now you can go to the comment section and put down your comments. Whatever suggestions, contributions you have to make, what do you think about the video I just played? Go to the comment section and put your comment. I will go through the comment section and I bet you I am learning a lot from there and you can equally learn from there. Let us share our experience on that comment section. Thank you so much and stay blessed. Don't forget to share and we continue to bless you as you share. Biafra government, peace, progress, unity and equity. We move.